Oh boy, that gospel. It's a little bit like God is demanding that I talk about politics in church today, with that gospel of all of them so close to the election. So how best to avoid the political landmine that is our country right now? What should we take time to think about this morning in this, the house of the Lord? How should we render to Caesar that which is Caesar's? Because you know that the answer is obviously not give him everything, just as surely as the answer is not give him absolutely nothing. So thinking about it a bit, I want to start by addressing something that my family asked me maybe a month or two ago. The thing is, everyone in my family is voting the same way. Trust me, they've got the flag and everything. And by the way, are flags for presidential candidates a new thing? I can't remember if that was a thing 8 years ago. There are flags everywhere now, I just can't ignore that. Anyway, my family's all united whole on that, and they know that I feel a little bit differently about things. So they asked me one day, what is it like being a priest with so much political tension in the air right now? And my answer was very straightforward. I said, the secret is I've been doing everything I can to say as little as possible about my own personal views, because I have to be a priest to everyone. I can't latch onto one political party or one particular viewpoint. That's not the idea. And in general, people really struggle with that concept. They really do. They associate with something, or they see someone else associate with something, and they immediately jump to conclusions as a result. And that is a very polarizing way of thinking. That's a great way to make enemies when that's entirely unnecessary. And one way that comes out point blank is religion and politics. Way too many people let their politics shape their faith. That is an unhealthy thing to do, and that does not render to Caesar that which is Caesar's. Caesar does not own your faith. In that way, you owe him nothing. You owe him your civic obedience and your societal participation. Your faith is not on the bargaining table. It's not there next to your taxes and your jury summons. So never let anyone get between you and God. That is always a terrible deal. And I want to give you a little real-life example of this trap and what it might look like. Once, several years ago, I was helping another church with confirmation confessions, because we tend to bring in a bunch of priests for those events. And that's a nice thing to do because it means that we can offer one-on-one conversations in addition to actual confessions. So I'm sitting there in my room, and one young lady comes in, and she obviously wanted to talk to a priest who was not her pastor. You know, she was embarrassed about something. You could see it on her face. And she sat down, and she very respectfully and very reasonably explained that she was very strongly thinking about not getting confirmed because she leaned pretty liberal with her politics. She felt like she didn't have the right to be Catholic because of the way she felt about certain political issues. And I told her what I just told you a minute ago. These earthly concerns, which are politics, they do not dominate your faith. You know, it does not invalidate your relationship with God. Catholicism absolutely needs people of all shapes and sizes, even though that will create conflict among us. Nobody likes conflict, but that is so much better than all of us being a homogeneous blob of basically one person with the exact same viewpoint. That's not reality. So we talked a little bit more that day, but that was the bulk of our conversation. And a week or two later, her mother specifically went out of her way to come to my church because she wanted to tell me to my face how relieved her daughter was after our conversation. And it was like a weight of guilt was taken off her shoulders. I thought it was rather sweet that she went out of her way to tell me that. Now, this is the story of the day, because I think it highlights just how easily our politics can warp our faith, but also how easily we can correct the damage. It really just takes a little bit of wisdom and awareness. Render to Caesar that which is Caesar's. Be a good citizen. Pay your taxes. Obey the law. Wear your masks. Vote for the person you believe is most qualified for the job. Do that, and you are rendering to Caesar that which is Caesar's. But always remember this. Politics are, and always will be, a human creation. It is earthly and fleeting. No politician or political party has ever been in perfect alignment with the Catholic Church. That has never happened. Politics will never have all the answers because they are earthly endeavors. And trends in government, public opinion, and current events, they come and they go as surely as the tides. If you don't believe me, try out this little experiment. What were the big issues in the news this time last year? Most of you probably don't remember any of it. The Yellow Jacket protests were happening in France. There were shootings in synagogues and other acts of anti-Semitism around the world. Hong Kong had anti-government protests that turned violent. Specifically in the U.S., wildfires cost 800,000 Californians power for several days. The Chicago Teachers Union went on strike, and there were no less than 4 school shootings. All of that was October of 2019. When was the last time you seriously thought about any of that? And don't worry, I'm not judging you. I had to look up all of that on Google. My point is this. Don't get me wrong, all of that's important. We absolutely should read the news, we should keep up with politics, and we should care about the plight of the world. But world events, they come and they go. That stuff never stops and it never slows down. And if you don't anchor yourself spiritually, you will get swept away by the undertow. Caesar will take every last dime you have if you let him. Your faith, your relationship with God is so much more important than anything the world can offer you. That is true. Your soul is not fleeting nor a trivial matter. So I'm asking that you don't get lost in the business of the day. Render to Caesar that which is Caesar's. Be a good citizen, but be willing to walk away so as to better devote your time and effort to worthier matters and causes. Or in other words, to render to God what belongs to God.